Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox recording here to share with you my top 3 favorite Masterbus plugins for heavy mixes. You've been asking, so I figured I'd make this short tutorial just to show you what I have going on the majority of my heavy mixes that I mix for clients. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So here I have a pretty typical heavy, brutal, crazy mix, typical stuff that I work on, and I'm gluing it together with 3 main plugins on my Masterbus. First, let's take a quick listen to what this mix sounds like. By the way, this audio sample is by my good friends in a band called Replicant. I will leave a link to their music right below in this video's description. So the first plugin in my chain is the Satsin Channel Strip by Sonymous Plugins. Now for years and years and years and years, I've been a huge fan of the Waves SSL bus compressor, and I still am. I think it's a great plugin that sounds very close to the actual bus compressor on a real SSL console. Now I only started using this plugin around 6 months ago, and I instantly fell in love with it, mainly because of the workflow. Again, it sounds very close to a traditional SSL bus compressor, but you also have some analog saturation pre-built in with the preamp section, as well as an EQ. And these are modular. You can completely change the routing within the plugin itself. And all 3 of these processors is happening within this plugin. You can even add or take away modules within the plugin. The possibilities are endless. I dug it so much that I ended up using this plugin for the majority of the mixing on the latest Tooms record. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link below in this video's description. Now, the main reason why I love SSL bus compressors is due to the auto release function. I find that the auto release function yields very transparent results. Because for me, within a mix, I want my mix nice and controlled, but not compressed sounding. And because of that, I usually aim for about 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction on my master bus compressor. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the sample back and let's check out how much gain reduction is taking place within the Sonymous Channel Strip plugin here in the compressor section. Let's check it out. So as you can see, it's about 1.5 to 2 dB of consistent gain reduction within the plugin itself, or within the compressor itself. Now, I'm also using this Channel Strip plugin for an EQ, and all I have here is just a little bit of a dip, a 2 dB dip at around 500 hertz. Now, like I said, for years and years, I'd used the Waves SSL bus compressor with like a stock, EQ after it. And I've recently really just been digging this due to its simplicity. And what's great about this plugin is it's great on individual channels, like let's say a vocal track or a guitar track or drum track or whatever, also submixes and on the master fader. So if you're interested in this plugin, I will leave a link below in this video's description. And full disclosure, it is an affiliate link, so if you do decide to pick it up, you'll be helping to support me and the channel. So as you can see, super straightforward, just a little bit of bus compression, a touch of EQ. Some mixes don't require any EQ. This one, I just wanted to clear out a little bit of mud, and I mean a little, like 2 dB at 500 hertz, and that's about it. And also I'm getting a little bit of analog color from the preamp section of this plugin. And up next is another one of my plugins that I've been using for, oh my God, I think I started using this plugin in 2009 and I absolutely love it. And it is the PSP Vintage Warmer 2. And what this plugin is an analog tape saturator. And it also acts somewhat like a limiter as well, but again, I'm using it in a very subtle way just to add a little bit of color to my mix and to help tame transients and just control the dynamic range of my mix without it sounding squashed. So let's take a look at the gain reduction meter and how much gain reduction is taking place within this plugin on this heavy mix. And this heavy mix is a good example because so much is happening that it'll give you a nice clear indication of how much gain reduction is usually taking place within a majority of my mixes. As you can see, it's about half a dB of gain reduction, but it's a nice consistent amount of gain reduction, and it's giving me a little extra headroom on my master fader, so when it comes time to master, my job is gonna be super easy. So far we have a simple bus compressor, a little bit of EQ, and a tape saturator. Extremely simple, and they're all doing very little. The thing is, a lot of people try to accomplish a whole lot with one processor, and that's how they end up with a very overly compressed or distorted sounding mix. It's all about a little bit happening at multiple stages. And to be honest with you, this is why analog, recording analog is so great, because analog by default is doing this. Your tape machine is coloring the sound and doing a little bit of compression. Your mixing console is doing a little bit of, subtle compression, a little bit of saturation, and then your outboard gear and all of the different processes involved with analog recording. Now, this production was done completely in the box, recorded through an inexpensive interface, but we're mimicking that workflow by, again, doing a little bit amongst multiple stages within the mix, and in this case, the master bus. Okay, and the final processor that I have on my 2-bus is the old school Waves L1 Ultra Maximizer. But here's the thing, this is a brick wall limiter, and I'm not using it for any limiting at all. It is doing nothing to my transients. All I'm using it for is for a volume boost for when I send the mix to clients before I master it, just so it's a little bit more at a commercial level. And also for some dithering, because remember, we're recording at 24-bit, and you're gonna wanna dither down your final output to 16-bit before you export your track. And just to show you that no gain reduction is taking place in this process, I'm gonna play the sample back, and let's take a good look at the attenuation meter in the plugin. Let's check it out. So as you can see, absolutely no gain reduction. I'm simply using it as a volume boost and for the dithering. Now, before I master my track, I always completely remove this plugin and export the file without any limiter on it at all, because all of that dithering will take place in the mastering stage. Now, some people have asked me in the past why I even bother with this. Why don't I just stick a dither plugin and jack up my master fader? And it's simple, it's just a precautionary measure just in case any stray transient, exceeds that 0 dB mark on my master fader. And it's a nice clean way of boosting volume, even though I'm not doing anything to the transients. So when I send the mix to the client, it's at a relatively commercial level. And all in all, that's it. This is all the processing that takes place on my master fader. And if you watch any of my videos in the past, you probably can tell that I'm a huge fan of simplicity, and my 2-bus is no different. I'm much more of a fan of getting the mix right at the source with proper panning, level, EQ, compression, and just tracking properly in the first place, than messing around with a bunch of fancy pants processes on the master fader that are just gonna gunk up and just gonna be a band-aid on a gaping wound anyway. It's all about getting it right at the source. Now, on that topic, if you're interested in dialing in killer mixes with the gear you already have, you could download my 5-step guide to better heavy mixes for absolutely free. I want you to achieve better results with the gear you have right now. So download the guide. There's a link below in this video's description for absolutely free. So tell me, I would love to know, what do you use on your master bus? Do you use a lot of plugins? Do you use very few? Do you use stock plugins? Do you use third-party plugins? Let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And until next time, happy mixing.